There is arguably no better feeling in fantasy football than when you land an absolute steal. You get my 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Dominator, which is jam-packed with strategy and analysis for 250-plus players. And he's been strong in fantasy football. He's averaging over 18 fantasy points per game over 25 career games where he's played at least 73% of the offensive snaps. 2025 Week Winner, formerly known as the Heat Map. So you can conquer start-sit dilemmas, find plug-and-play streamers, and dominate your weekly matchups with this one-of-a-kind resource Discord community, where you can get personalized advice from 180-plus and counting sharp fantasy football minds that are helping each other dominate. 365 days of elite fantasy football analysis, resources, and Discord community. Baby, good morning and welcome to week 6 of fantasy football, aka the final week of fantasy football where we won't have Rashee Rice, and that's worth celebrating. That's Tanner Dawson. I'm Mikey Henninger. This is episode 68 of Inside the 20. Today we're going to be talking about week 6 of fantasy football and answering your questions live. So go ahead and start dropping them in the comments. I see we already have some to get to here this morning, but before we dive in, I do have one quick question for you, Tanner. How about them Milwaukee Brewers, baby?
How about those freaking Brewers? Let's go.
How about them Milwaukee Brewers, my friend?
How big can you get there? I mean, what a series to begin with, right? The Cubs, I mean, each team put on a show. Came in clutch.
I don't know what I wanted more. The Brewers to win, the Cubs to lose, or just not having Craig Counsell come into Milwaukee and push us out of the playoffs.
The worst. That would be the worst.
It would have. Oh man, I got goosebumps. It was such a cool. I just want it so bad for these guys, man. I love this team. I love the chemistry that they have. Pat Murphy is such a one of the most lovable guys in Milwaukee, not named Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's just,
I mean, think about it, right? You got all these young guys. Mm-hmm. Hoskins is hurt, and you got rid of Willie Adames, and look what you still did in the end. Way overfilled their projections. So it was
just
awesome.
A bunch of average Joes, as they say. But man, everybody's bought in. So I'm in a good mood. I got the Brewer colors on today. But people aren't here to listen to us gush over Magic. I love it, man. I love it.
Parents brought me back a towel, so
Is that from yesterday? Like the same towel
from game one. Yeah.
Love it, dude. Yeah. Man, what a great morning. Anyway, it's a great start to the weekend. It means we're going to see great things today, this Fantasy Football Sunday. So for the next hour, and by the way, I do have a hard stop about 1 hour from now, 9:15 a.m. I got to get to my son's soccer game. But for the next hour, we're going to be answering as many of your week 6 fantasy football questions as possible, or any other fantasy football questions. Doesn't have to be week 6, or maybe you have questions about the meaning of life, whatever. We're going to answer as many as we can in the next hour. Now, if you've seen this show before, then you already know what to expect. And thank you for tuning back in. We really appreciate you coming back. If you're new to this show, buckle up, because it's going to be quite a bit different than anything that you've ever seen before. If you're expecting a little bit of a quick hitting this player or that player type of show, then keep scrolling, because that's not what you're going to find here. I'm not going to give you answers based on gut feels and good vibes. Instead, what I am going to do is dive deep on the data and the stats and the information to put you in the best possible position to be right. And that is ultimately what this entire show is all about. Are we going to get them all right? Hell no. And good luck finding somebody that will. Nobody is going to get these all right. But what we will do is we're going to be right more often than we're wrong. And it's all about playing probability. It's all about putting yourself in the best possible position to be right more frequently over time. So again, buckle up, because some of these answers might take a little while. They might take a little bit of time, but that's only because I'm giving you 100% of my attention, my process, and my effort to help you be right about this. Now, if you dig this content at any point during the episode, please do me and Tanner a favor. It is really, really important and really helpful for us if you tap that simple subscribe button. It costs you nothing to tap subscribe on the Basement Brewed Fantasy Football YouTube channel. We're just 3 away from hitting 900, and we are on an absolute mission to get to 1,000. So if you're digging the content at any point, tap that subscribe button. Anyways.
Hey. We're 2 away, guys. We're 2 away. Come on. Come on. By the way, if you're watching on other platforms, Twitch, Twitter, or X, Facebook, go over to YouTube, youtube.com/Basement Brewed Fantasy Football, guys, and go subscribe. That's where a lot of the big content is that Mike produces here, especially during the off season. When we start ramping back up, get that May, June, July feel coming into play. That's where a lot of that golden content comes, and that's what gets you prepared for where we're at today. So,
yes, sir. Let's dive into this thing, man. We got about a hard stop in 1 hour, so I'm gonna do my best to be quicker with these, but they can get lengthy.
Hey, we'll figure it out, right? We'll figure it out here. All right, let's kick it off here with the first question of the day. Jordan, welcome back. Appreciate you always from so far away, different time zone and everything, man. It's impressive. Marvin Harrison without Kyler now, or Juwan Jennings, 0.5 PPR.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. And like Tanner said, thanks for getting up early with us. And if you know anything about Jordan, pausing his workout is a big deal. This dude's a literal fitness trainer by trade. Like, that's what he does. So, I mean, this is a big deal. We got to make sure we get this one right. Also, Jordan, how about those Brewers, buddy? All right, Marvin Harrison without Kyler Murray. Yeah. I get that. Juwan Jennings. I just said, I'm not going to give you my answer based on gut. And I'm not. I'm just telling you to begin with. My gut says we're going Juwan Jennings here. But let's dive in to the week winner. So let me pump this up. You probably can't see that too well. Now, if you've seen this show before, then you know what we're looking at here. You know what to expect with what we're digging into. If you're new to the show, what I am pulling up on the screen right now is a weekly resource that I create every single week for members of the Basement Brewed Fantasy Football, which over there's a QR code if you feel like joining the Basement Brewed Fantasy Football family. But ultimately, this is a resource that's jam-packed with stats, data, facts, and information to help you make some critical fantasy football decisions every single week. This is the week 6 edition. People are using this to make their lineup decisions, conquer these start-sit dilemmas, set their DFS lineups, bet on NFL player props, all of those things. So we're going to start this thing out with the Cardinals game with Marvin Harrison, right? So ultimately, by the way, if you're just tuning in, chances are you're a sharp enough fantasy football player to be aware that Kyler Murray is not going to be playing today. Also, just a heads up, this one almost snuck through on me. Quentin Johnston is unlikely to play today. That one almost snuck past me when I was watching the Brewer game yesterday. But if you have those guys in your lineup, get them out. Now, the Cardinals it is a little bit of a downgrade, right? There's no way around it. They're going from Kyler Murray to Jacoby Brissett, but Jacoby Brissett is a capable backup in the NFL. It's not like we're going to some unknown here, right? Still, it did knock the Cardinals down a little bit in Vegas sportsbook projections, right? Going into the week, the Cardinals were 7 to 7.5 point underdogs in Indianapolis against the Arizona Colts. Now with the news, they have dropped to 9.5 point underdogs, as you'll see here, with an implied point total of just 18.5 points. Okay, so we're not expecting much from the Arizona Cardinals here in week 6. That 18.5 projected point total, that's, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll just pop it up right here in team projections. The Cardinals are now way down here. They are tied for the 5th lowest team projection in all of week 6 NFL, all the teams that are playing this week. Matchup doesn't look good. The Colts ranked 27th against quarterbacks. That's what this number 27 represents, meaning they're limiting quarterbacks to the 6th fewest fantasy points per game. So there's not a lot to love here. Oh, we're not talking about Jacoby Brissett. We're talking about Marvin Harrison. So sorry about that. The Colts actually do present a good matchup for wide receivers. The 5th most PPR points per game. And we'll dig into more details on that in just 1 minute. So let's go ahead and slide over here. We're going to talk about Marvin Harrison. Now, I will mention that I did not, by the way, update the week winner quite yet to reflect for Jacoby Brissett being in the lineup, only because that news came late last night. It looked like Kyler Murray was going to be set to play, but Marvin Harrison himself is, we know the deal with Marvin, right? He's a little bit boom bust as a wide receiver. After 5 games, he's averaging about 12.5 PPR points, a little bit over 6 targets per game. He has 13 plus PPR points in 3 of 5 games, including 18 to 19 in 2 of them, but he also has fewer than 8 PPR points in the other 2 games. He does have 5 to 6 targets in 4 or 5 games. He is seeing about 20.3% of the targets. He's a boom or bust wide receiver 2 in a potentially pass-heavy environment, and that's the key to this game here, Jordan, is that the Cardinals are now pretty close to 10-point underdogs on the road into Indianapolis, and if the game plays out the way Vegas sportsbooks seem to think it will play out, that means the Cardinals will be playing from behind all game. There'll be a negative game script. They're going to have to throw the ball 30, 35, maybe even 40 times. Marvin Harrison should be a beneficiary of that, as well as Trey McBride. So you can say what you will about the quality of Jacoby Brissett targets, but there should be a greater volume. There should be a greater quantity of targets, of pass attempts to go around to Marvin Harrison. So it boosts his floor a little bit, maybe if the ceiling does come down with the quality of the target. So I feel a little bit better about Marvin Harrison's floor under Jacoby Brissett than I usually do under Kyler, because it tends to be run heavy offense. He can take off running. Jacoby Brissett's going to put the ball in the air. Okay. Now the matchup itself, the Colts are a friendly matchup for wide receivers. They are technically holding them to the 15th fewest PPR points per catch, but that's pretty mediocre. They're otherwise allowing the 3rd most catches, 5th most yards, 8th most touchdowns, and ultimately the 5th most PPR points per game. There's a lot to like here if you're using a wide receiver against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, when you look at wide receivers that have played at least 75% of the snaps against the Indianapolis Colts, they're averaging about 13.8 PPR points and 7 targets per game. Devontae Adams got you over 15. Jordan Whittington is in this list, by the way. He played over 75% of the snaps against the Colts. He predictably scored just 1.7 PPR points. So that brings the PPR average down a little bit. But Puka put up 36. Calvin Ridley didn't do much with 3.7. Sutton didn't do much with 1.6, but that's ultimately because Troy Franklin blew up in that game with 24. So volume should be there. Matchup is good. I don't hate Marvin Harrison this week at all, by any means. I know Jacoby Brissett is a downgrade, but it's not enough to scare me off of Marvin Harrison. Now, as for Jauan Jennings, right? Once again, it is going to be a game with Mac Jones. It is going to be, it's going to be a game with Mac Jones, a game without Ricky Pearsall, without George Kittle. And that's all good news besides the Brock Purdy thing. That's all ultimately good news for Jauan Jennings, right? He's going to be the de facto wide receiver 1, unquestioned wide receiver 1. Now, Kendrick Bourne was awesome last week and he will be involved. But as long as Jennings stays on the football field in this game, he should be the guy who leads the team in targets. Okay. Now, the 49ers are entering this game as 3-point road underdogs, which isn't a big deal. Slightly subpar implied total of just 22.25 points. That's subpar. It's not a good number, but it's far from a bad number, right? We see some teams that have an implied point total of 18, 19, 20 points. That's not the Niners. They're very mediocre. They're middle of the pack this week. the 11th lowest among all 30 teams that are playing. Now, this game does have a really solid over-under, right? The over-under is 47.5, which is tied for the 5th most among all 15 games on the slate. So that suggests a sliver of shootout appeal if the 49ers can exceed mediocre expectations. And there is a sliver of shootout appeal to this game if Mac Jones can just keep up with Brock Purdy. And say what you will about Mac Jones, but he's been balling in Kyle Shanahan's system. It's at a point where I feel like I could play in Kyle Shanahan's system, and I'm a terrible quarterback, okay? Now, Ricky Pearsall is going to miss this game. That frees up 7.3 targets. Juwan Jennings, he's been a little bit boomer bust so far this year. He's averaging 9.3 PPR points per game, about 6+ targets. He did score 19.9 points in week 2. He did that on 10 targets, which is key here. But he sandwiched that with 3.6 points in week 1 and 4.4 in week 4. He's getting about 17.3% of the team's targets. And again, that's all of those games were with Ricky Pearsall, by the way. Ricky Pearsall not playing here is a big deal. Jennings could be teed up for another 10+ targets if the 49ers are expected to lose this game. They're trailing. They need to put the ball in the air. Mac Jones has thrown the ball like 30+ times in all 3 starts, if I'm not mistaken. So he should get plenty of volume in this contest, just like Marvin Harrison. Now, the matchup, it's relatively mediocre. The Buccaneers are allowing the 15th most catches, but they are holding them to the 14th fewest yards, 14th fewest PPR points per game, 13th fewest PPR points per catch. All of that is mediocre. None of it is scary. None of it's exciting. It's just very average. Nothing to be scared of, nothing to be excited about as far as the matchup goes. Wide receivers that have played 75% of the snaps or more against the Buccaneers are averaging just 9.7 PPR points and 8 targets per game. That's pretty low. A.J. Brown obviously didn't do anything in week 4. He hasn't really done anything all year. Devontae Smith didn't do anything in week 4. Arian Smith is in this list because he played like 80% of the snaps for the Jets back in week 3. Garrett Wilson did his thing, 24.4 PPR points on 13 targets. Nico Collins was fine with 14. Casey Washington is in this list, so that brings the numbers down in week 1, and Drake London was mediocre. So ultimately, there's really nothing to fear here for Juwan Jennings. Now, ultimately, if I have to make the decision between Juwan Jennings and Marvin Harrison, and I believe he said this is a half point PPR league, that tends to lead more towards, we're looking at touchdown probability as much as we're looking at catches, right? A lot of times in a full PPR league, you can just like, hey, who's going to get me 8 catches and plug that guy in? But here with half PPR, you do want to look for some touchdown upside. The 49ers Buccaneers game does have that sliver of shootout appeal. You're going to see a similar amount of targets, a similar type of floor, possibly even a better floor for Juwan Jennings because they do throw the ball so much. But Juwan Jennings is also going to bring a theoretical better ceiling, giving the potentially high scoring nature of this game. So if I'm choosing one of those guys, I'm going with Juwan Jennings over Marvin Harrison. So hopefully that helps. By the way, guys, so what I was just sharing with you, the week winner, if any of you ever want access to that, especially because I do have a hard stop in 45 minutes, scan, where am I pointing? That way?
QR code above.
I know. I just don't know how to point on the camera, but that QR code right there, that takes you to my website. And if you enter promo code YouTube in all caps, I have no clue if that actually matters, but if you just do it in all caps, you're going to get 50% off every single month for as long as you remain subscribed. That's going to get you every single week winner, access to our Discord server, access to our monthly jersey giveaways, the hit rate cheat sheet that I'm putting out every week, the waiver wire cheat sheet. There's a lot that you're getting for what, $9.99 per month, $10 per month. That's less than one trip to McDonald's. So yep, scan that QR code and you can get access to all this stuff.
Love it. Love it. Hey, we had Dylan. Dylan subscribed here. By the way, 900. 900.
Oh, we got. Hey, let's get some confetti.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. It means
Dylan has a little bit of a time crunch here on a couple of quarterbacks. We won't worry about the first part of the question. If you look at the quarterbacks here, you got T-Law, Mac Jones, and Fields. And he's wondering, does he bother with Fields at the moment? I chimed in and said no.
Yeah, I'd throw him in. I'd throw him in there. Sorry.
Oh, you would? Okay.
I would because of the rushing floor. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence ain't doing anything. Mac Jones has been great. He's one of my favorite streamers, but I'd have a really tough time benching Justin Fields right now. He's scoring a ton of points. Denver's a really tough matchup. Denver is a tough matchup, but I like him better than those guys. Sorry for the delay there, Dylan.
Love it. So hopefully that helps you out, Dylan. It's getting Fields in there ASAP. You got 2 minutes. Should be able to squeeze them in. So go get them. Go get
Sorry, brother. Sorry, and thank you for subscribing. And I love your team name, by the way, Team Scatterbo. That's just awful. Anyway,
it's a pretty good team name. He's looking for a flex as well. Born at Tampa Bay or Swift at Washington.
Born at Tampa Bay or Swift at Washington. So this is one where Swift is going to be a much safer bet, and Bourne is going to bring quite a bit of upside here because there's going to be the unknown of Kendrick Bourne with Juwan Jennings in the picture, right? Last week was somewhat predictable. I sent out a email alert to all of the members of the Basement Brewed Fantasy Football family saying, hey, if you're desperate, you need a wide receiver this week, scoop up Kendrick Bourne. That paid off very handsomely.
It did.
Because it was somewhat predictable without Juwan Jennings, without Ricky Pearsall, but that's not the case this week, right? They do have Juwan Jennings in the picture. He is the wide receiver one. It's not Kendrick Bourne. But there is no Ricky Pearsall. Bourne should be playing full-time snaps. There is plenty of upside there in the shootout, which we just talked about. And a mediocre matchup. Nothing to be scared of there. Whereas DeAndre Swift, let me throw up the old week winner here. Let's talk about DeAndre Swift. It's so hard to, when I have it zoomed in like this, it's harder to navigate, but that is totally fine. We'll make it work. All right. Yeah, it's not easy. So here's the thing. This game in particular is one of the top, let's just say 3 games that I want exposure to in my week 6 fantasy football lineups. Caleb Williams and the Bears, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. This game has some shootout to it. This game has some high scoring appeal to it. This game has fantasy football fireworks written all over it. Okay. So ultimately, if there's a player that's wearing a uniform in this game, it's one that I want exposure to. Okay. Now, the Bears in particular are entering the week as 4.5-point underdogs. They're just like the 49ers where they have a slightly subpar implied point total of 22.5 points, tied for the 12th lowest among all 30 teams. But again, just like the Buccaneers Niners, this game has a really strong over under of 49.5 points. That's really good. That's tied for the second most among all 15 games. There is a sliver of shootout appeal if the Bears can simply keep up and they can exceed their currently mediocre point expectations. The biggest red flag for DeAndre Swift this week is right here. They're 4.5-point road underdogs. That spread is it's not big enough where you see the Bengals and Packers, that game's 14.5-point spread. That's not big enough where you can go, oh shoot, the Bears are going to abandon the run. DeAndre Swift isn't going to get a lot of carries. It's not that wide, but it's also not a 1, 2, 3-point spread where it's going to be close. The game could go any way. It's kind of right on that borderline of the Bears could keep up or this game could get away from them. So ultimately, it kind of comes down to how you feel the Bears are going to perform in this game overall. Are they going to keep up? Are they going to keep the game script neutral? Just know that there is a risk of this one getting away from them. Now, Swift himself has been solid in fantasy football. He's getting 13.1 PPR points per game. He is giving you 17 plus touches every single game on average. And that's where that safe floor comes in, right? Anytime you have a player that's pretty much guaranteed, which is a really risky word in fantasy football, but 17 plus touches. And by the way, 4.5 targets. He's a solid RB2 to have in the game. Now in weeks 1 and 3, he scored 9 to 11 PPR points. And it's worth noting in both of those games, he did not score, but then he also scored 15 to 16 PPR points in weeks 2 and 4. And he did score 1 touchdown in each. So that suggests to us that there might be a little bit of touchdown or bust to DeAndre Swift in 2025 fantasy football, but still the dude is handling 77.5% of the backfield touches, 13.7 of the team's targets. He's just a rock solid volume-based running back number 2. His matchup, it's not pretty. It's not a great one for running backs. It's not a great one for DeAndre Swift. The Commanders are allowing the 12th most receiving yards, but that's pretty much it. Besides that, they're holding running backs to the 13th fewest rushing yards, 8th fewest catches, 9th fewest touchdowns, 10th fewest PPR points per game, and ultimately the 4th fewest PPR points per touch at just 0.71. Running backs that handled 15 plus touches against the Commanders this year averaged 14.58 PPR points, which is solid, but it took them 19.0 touches per game to get to under 15 PPR points per game. That's not great. 0.77 PPR points per touch. In fact, if you look at all the running backs on a per touch basis, Bijan Robinson is the only one that was successful against Washington. He scored 28 plus points on 21 touches. Everybody else came up short, right? Omarion Hampton, 13 points, but it took 18 touches. Tyler Algier, 11 points, but it took 16 touches. Ashton Genty, 6 points on 17 touches. That's brutal. Josh Jacobs put up 14 points, but he needed 23 touches to get there. So ultimately, it doesn't look great for DeAndre Swift. He's still going to bring you a safer floor than Kendrick Bourne is. But if you're going for the upside swing, Kendrick Bourne is probably going to be the upside swing in this possible shootout. DeAndre Swift has a shootout too. If it were me in this situation, I would be going with DeAndre Swift because the floor is much safer and the ceiling is theoretically similar to what we'll see with Kendrick Bourne with Jawan Jennings in the picture. So I would be going with DeAndre Swift here.
There you go. Thanks, Dylan, again for subscribing. Everybody else for the 900. So let's pop back up here. We got Hayden Hines. Hayden Hines out here. He has Calvin Ridley or Kendrick Bourne in a flex PPR here.
I do love when we see some of the same names. It makes it go a little bit quicker, Yeah. Kendrick Bourne, we talked about, right? Shootout should be plenty involved. I'm treating him like a solid wide receiver 3 in this game. Calvin Ridley, man. He's been one of my busts this year. I was definitely hammering Calvin Ridley in the 5th, 6th round of drafts this year. Yeah, hasn't been good. He is coming off his best game of the season. That's a good sign. Let me pull up Calvin Ridley on the old week winner here. So my projection for Calvin Ridley, ultimately, I'm expecting 11 to 16 PPR points from him, 7 to 10 targets. The floor is ugly, right? 6 to 8 PPR points if the Titans stall. Efficiency remains middling at best. The ceiling, we know this guy can get up to 20 to 24 PPR points if he pushes for 10 to 12 targets, converts a red zone shot, etc., etc. Now, the game environment is not necessarily one that is super conducive to fantasy football points. Low over-under for Titans Raiders, just 41.5 points. That's the 3rd lowest among all 15 games this week. Both teams, by the way, are sporting bottom 14 implied totals under 23 points. That's usually not a good sign for fantasy football. If you have a game that has A, a low over-under, but then B, both teams being in the lower echelon of scoring, those tend to be the games that are kind of gross, defensive slugfest, not a lot of fantasy, certainly not touchdowns, meaning they would have to score their points on catches and yards. And it's ultimately just not a lot of fantasy football fireworks there. I don't necessarily want to say it's a game you want to avoid because there's always exceptions to that. But this is a game that if I'm in a tiebreaker scenario and I keep in mind how this game is expected to flow, that's a thumbs down for Calvin Ridley just in general. Okay. Now, Calvin Ridley in general, it hasn't been pretty, right? The first 4 games, he landed under 10 PPR points and he finally got up to 18.1 last week. He is averaging 8.4 PPR points per game. Not pretty at all. 6.8 targets. So that number I expected to be a lot higher with minimal target competition. You thought that, Cameron Ward would just kind of lean on the veteran instead of, Elike Yomenor, Chiga Okonkwo, but he's not even getting you 7 targets per game. 54.4 yards, no touchdowns. He does have 6+ targets in 4 of 5 games, so there's a little bit of consistency there. He's seeing 22.7% of the targets, but ultimately he's just a boom or bust wide receiver 3. It seems one of those guys where he's going to get you less than 10 or somewhere around 20. the matchup, the matchup is a friendly one for Calvin Ridley, right? The Raiders are they are allowing the third most catches, the fourth most yards, the eighth most touchdowns, fourth most PPR points per game, 16th most PPR points per catch. It's a friendly matchup. It's a friendly spot for Calvin Ridley. Wide receivers that played 75% or more of the snaps against the Raiders averaged 14.2 PPR points and 7 targets per game. DJ Moore didn't do anything, but Rome Odunze did. Quentin Johnson had a big day. Kayshon Boutte had a big day, his only big day. That was back in week 1. So ultimately, when it comes down to Kendrick Bourne versus Calvin Ridley, PPR, that definitely helps. The floor is going to lean towards Calvin Ridley. There's just going to be more bankable targets there for Calvin Ridley. The ceiling is going to lean towards Kendrick Bourne because Raiders Titans, nasty kind of slugfest, not a lot happening there. Buccaneers 49ers, there's some shootout appeal. Kendrick Bourne was obviously hot last week. Jawan Jennings is banged up. Like, it's not like he's healthy by any means. I would say this, Hayden. I would take a look at your projections or what happened in or what happened on Thursday night. Maybe you have Cam Scadaboo in the lineup. Maybe you went against Cam Scadaboo. But ultimately, I think the better floor ceiling combination is going to come from Kendrick Bourne in this game than it is from Calvin Ridley. And it's funny how that works, right? We spend all summer drafting Calvin Ridley in the 5th round. We don't even think about Kendrick Bourne, but here we are. It's week 6 and Kendrick Bourne is arguably the better play in this scenario.
Here we are. Yeah. It's amazing, man. It's amazing how fantasy football works this way. So appreciate you commenting in here.
Yeah, that's why, by the way, if you're ever in trade negotiations with somebody and they're like, I spent my 4th round pick on this guy, and it's like, that doesn't matter. Like, the second week 1 hits, none of that stuff matters, by the way.
It don't matter where you drafted him.
Nope, not anymore.
We got Gerard out here. He's looking at PPR, T, Charbonnet, or Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne, hot topic today.
Look at
Kendrick Bourne. Here's the thing, guys. It's going to be hard for me to bench T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, or, by the way, I talked earlier about email blasts that I send to my subscribers, that I send to my members of the Basement Brewed Fantasy Football family. I sent one earlier this week that said, call me crazy, but I am sending buy low trade offers for Chase Brown. Joe Flacco, by the way, peppered his running backs with 8+ targets every single game in the 4 games that he played for the Cleveland Browns. Chase Brown is the only dude in Cincinnati. The Bengals are so bad, they're going to be throwing the ball 40+ times a game. Chase Brown is he's not going to bring you much from a rushing standpoint, but this dude is suddenly going to become a PPR monster. So I'm sending out some trade offers for Chase Brown. That is not what this question is about. The point is, the Bengals, now that they have Joe Flacco, again, you look at this week. Here, let's dive into it. Let's go right into it. In fact, I'm on T. Higgins. That was perfect. Here's the thing with this game. The Bengals, it's ugly, it's nasty, but it does not need to be pretty for you to get fantasy football points. Okay. The Bengals are entering week 6 as 14, and I believe it's now 14.5 point road underdogs at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Nauseatingly low implied point total of 15.25 points. Okay, that tells us the Bengals are not expected to score very many touchdowns. This is a much better spot to use the Packers defense than it is to use Joe Flacco, for example. We're not expecting a lot of touchdowns from the Bengals. We're expecting them to be severely limited from that standpoint. They are going to need to butter their bread on volume and yards. But when you are 14.5 point underdogs, that suggests a severe blowout type of game script where by the second quarter, third quarter, the Bengals are going to be throwing the ball every pass in any effort to try and catch up to or keep up with the Green Bay Packers, according to Vegas sportsbooks. Okay. Point is, this is a pretty good spot, a pretty good bet for Joe Flacco to throw 40+ passes. Okay. T. Higgins, we know it hasn't been pretty, right? 8 PPR points, just 5 targets per game. He is seeing 17.5% of the targets. And though a lot of these numbers, by the way, you can throw in the trash can because the offense is going to look different under Joe Flacco than it was under Jake Browning. And it's an upgrade. Like, say what you will about Joe Flacco. He's old, but he does know how to get his guys the ball. I know it wasn't pretty for Jerry Jeudy earlier this year, but if you look at some of Joe Flacco's numbers from as recently as like 2023, the dude knows how to get his guys the ball. As long as he can get the ball out of his hands, he can get the football to his guys. And again, you can say what you want about Jerry Jeudy, but Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, that is an upgrade on Jerry Jeudy plus Cedric Tillman or Isaiah Bond or whoever they're trotting out there at wide receiver too. The matchup, it's been a little bit up and down. The Packers have. They're holding wide receivers to the 7th fewest yards, 6th fewest PPR points per catch. They are giving up the 11th most catches, 13th most touchdowns, 16th most PPR points per game. Very mediocre, okay? Nothing to fear, nothing to be super excited about. Wide receivers that played 75% of the snaps or more against the Packers are averaging 12.6 PPR points and 7.1 targets per game. That list includes George Pickens, who went absolutely crazy in week 4. Even Jalen Tolbert got in on the action with 10 plus PPR points. Jerry Jeudy didn't do anything with Joe Flacco, but he hasn't done anything with anybody all year. Deebo Samuel had a nice game, 17 plus. Terry McLaurin didn't. Amon-Ra didn't do much. Jameson Williams didn't do much. So there's just really not a lot of ups, not a lot of downs, just very flat line for the Green Bay Packers as far as the matchup goes. We talked about Kendrick Bourne was in there, and I think there was a third one in there, Tanner, that I'm not recalling off the top of my head.
Yeah. I lost the question.
All good. T. Higgins.
There it is. Charbonnet.
Oh, Zach Charbonnet. Yeah, I'll say this. I had to put Zach Charbonnet in my lineup in one of my 27 some leagues, and I felt really, really gross about it. I hate it, but I had to. Like, I didn't really have any other options. Here's the thing. The game environment itself is one that I want exposure to, right? This Seahawks-Jaguars game, this should be a pretty good game, both in real life, but also from a fantasy football perspective. It has a nice over-under, 47.5 points. That's tied for the 5th most among all 15 games. Both teams are sporting top 16 implied point totals of 23 points or more. So similar to what I said about the Raiders-Titans game, when you have a low over-under and both teams in the lower echelon of scoring projections, those are typically ugly games to target in fantasy football. This is the opposite. You have a high over-under and both teams in the upper echelon of scoring projections. These are typically the types of games that you want to target in fantasy football. You want exposure to somebody who's wearing a Seahawks uniform, somebody who's wearing a Jaguars uniform. So that's all good news. That's all the green flags, if we want to call it, or thumbs up for Zach Charbonnet. But it just hasn't really been that pretty for him. He's been plenty involved. He's just not doing too much with the opportunity. He's averaging 9 PPR points per game, despite getting about 13 touches. This is where it really hurts Zach Charbonnet, though. He's getting 1 target per game. That's it. He's just not involved in the passing game, meaning if he's going to score fantasy football points for you, he basically has to find the end zone. If he does not score a touchdown, that's pretty much it for him. He's a touchdown or bust RB3/flex. He scored 1 PPR point in week 2, but he did sandwich that with 3 different games between 10 to 12 PPR points per game. And like I said, that was mostly thanks to 1 touchdown in each of those games. If he did not find the end zone in those games, he would not have gotten over 10 PPR points. Now, he has landed between 10 to 15 touches in all 4 games, 44 to 48 scrimmage yards in 3 of 4 games. So he's on the field. He's involved. He's getting the ball. There is at least some floor there that you can bank on. But it's just, he's seeing enough touches to be on the radar, but with no usage in the passing game. He's a touchdown or bust RB3/flex. And again, if you're going to start somebody who's touchdown or bust, it is a good thing that they're at least in what could be a shootout. There's at least some touchdown upside and touchdown opportunity there. Now, really important to note, by the way, that the Jaguars are a tough matchup for running backs like Zach Charbonnet. they are getting hammered through the air to running backs, right? They're giving up the 5th most catches, 4th most receiving yards, 3rd most receiving touchdowns. But again, Zach Charbonnet is getting 1 target per game. That doesn't help him. It doesn't matter how bad they are through the air if the Seahawks don't throw Charbonnet the ball. He's going to have to do it on the ground. And on the ground, by the way, the Jaguars are actually really tough. They're stout on the ground, limiting running backs to the 6th fewest rushing yards, 9th fewest rushing touchdowns. Running backs that handled 15 plus touches against the Jaguars averaged 17.5 PPR points. They needed 20 touches to do it. Christian McCaffrey had a really nice day, 26.1 PPR points, but he needed 23 touches and 6 catches to get there. Charbonnet is not going to come anywhere near that type of volume. Chase Brown landed only at 8.5 PPR points on 18 touches. Chuba Hubbard scored 17 plus points, but he needed 3 catches to get there. And then you got running backs that handled 10 to 14 touches against the Jaguars. Isaiah Pacheco didn't do anything, but he hasn't done anything all year. Nick Chubb didn't do anything, but he's been kind of mediocre all year. There's not a lot of optimism for Zach Charbonnet. It's as simple as if he scores a touchdown, he'll get you 10 to 13 points. If he doesn't, you're going to land somewhere around 5 to 6.
Yeah.
So knowing that this is a PPR league, I wouldn't feel great about Zach Charbonnet. T. Higgins could get a lot of catches, but the upside still here is likely. It depends if you think Joe Flacco and the Bengals can like greatly outseed their scoring projection, which is only like 15.5 points. If you think Joe Flacco and the Bengals can put up 21 plus points, that is going to be a T. Higgins decision. But the data, the facts, the information that we have currently suggests the Bengals won't score a lot of points. T. Higgins would have to do it on catches and yards. And typically catches and yards is much more Jamar Chase's game than it is T. Higgins' game. T. Higgins is more of a big play, boomer bust type of wide receiver. You're going to get a safer floor and arguably a higher ceiling out of Kendrick Bourne, just the way that Buccaneers 49ers game sets up, which is wild, right? Kendrick Bourne over T. Higgins, but here we are. Like, I'm fine with going T. Higgins here and betting on Joe Flacco, but if it's me making this decision, I'm going to go with Kendrick Bourne.
There you go. Appreciate it, Gerard. Thank you for the comments here. Samuel Russell out here with Pittman, Sutton, Worthy. He can only use 2. Thank you. No, thank you.
No, thank you. Worthy's going to be in there. Worthy has to be in there, which, by the way, I was setting my lineups yesterday and I have them everywhere. My Fantasy League, Yahoo, Sleeper. I was setting them on Sleeper. Everywhere. And I pulled up, I was setting them on Sleeper, and I have one league where I have Xavier Worthy, and they had a D for doubtful next to his name. And I was like, what did I miss? And I went searching and I didn't find anything. Hopefully they fixed that. I don't know what that was about, but dude,
I saw that too.
They got to fix that. Like, what if people pull Xavier Worthy out of their lineup because they see that?
During commercial breaks of the Brewers game, I was on my iPad and I was setting my lineups because I was like, I was going to be a busy morning, and I saw the D there too, and I'm like, hey, now everybody just said he was all healthy. He's good. He's good. Like I have not seen anything about him not playing. So
yeah, I don't know what that's all about. So he's going to be in there, and we can definitely talk about that. I'll pull up the week winner here in a minute, but we got Pittman, Sutton, and Worthy. You can only use 2. Samuel, I don't know if you dropped anywhere in any other comments whether or not this is PPR, but we'll dig into it as if it is PPR. Let's just start with Worthy because that's where we started. Little Control F function. You can pop it up. You can search who you're looking for. We got Xavier Worthy right here. I'll fly through this one because there's just a lot to like here. For starters, this is the game, by the way, that you want exposure to in your week 6 fantasy football lineup. You got the Lions, you got the Chiefs, you have a 52.5 point over under. Okay. You want exposure to that. Both teams, by the way, are sporting top 10 implied point totals of 25 points or more. This game has shootout written all over it. When I was writing about this game, I was reminiscing about that game. I don't remember what year it was, but if you remember, Tanner, do you remember that Rams Chiefs game that put up like
2018? Was
it
Monday Night Football? Yeah.
It was Jared Goff too, wasn't it?
Yeah. There was a recent deal where Goff and Mahomes were kind of reflecting about that game.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that game. So that's the game that I was thinking of when I was writing this. This is ultimately a game that you want exposure to. Okay, there's just going to be touchdowns. There's going to be yards. There's going to be big plays. If you have a Chief, if you have a Lion, you ultimately want them in your lineup, just generally speaking. Now, Xavier Worthy, he's been the guy since he's come back from injury. He has 17 targets, 11 catches, 172 yards, 28.2 PPR points in 2 games since he came back from injury. He's getting about 23% of Patrick Mahomes' targets. He's a strong wide receiver 2 with legitimate wide receiver 1 upside. Great matchup here as well. The Lions are an exciting matchup for wide receivers. They are holding them to the 12th fewest catches, but they're allowing the 7th most yards, 4th most touchdowns, 8th most PPR points per game, and 3rd most PPR points per catch at 3.23, right? So the Lions aren't allowing a lot of catches, yet they're getting destroyed when a wide receiver does catch the football. Wide receivers that played 75% plus of the snaps against the Lions averaged 13.1 and 7.2 targets per game. Judy didn't do anything, but he hasn't done anything all year. Zay Flowers didn't do anything. That is worth noting, but the Ravens got absolutely destroyed in that game. DJ Moore didn't do anything, but then you got Rome Odunze, who went absolutely nuts, scoring 31 plus against the Lions in week 2. And that's it, by the way. There's only been 4 wide receivers that have played 75% of the snaps against the Lions this year. Super weird. But high scoring game, good matchup. Xavier Worthy's got to be in your lineup and be excited about it. If he stays on the field, it should be a nice day. Now, Pittman or Sutton, these two are going against each other. Never mind. Colts, it's not Colts Broncos. It is Colts Cardinals, which we talked a little bit about. So we'll dive into that one.
So Sutton's already playing, right? Yeah, because they're playing an 8:30 game. So yeah. So you're stuck with Pittman
or Sutton if he puts Sutton in there. Yeah. So sorry, Samuel. Sorry for the delay on this. I would say use Xavier Worthy and whoever you didn't use before. Good call, Tanner. I think I probably would have went.
My bad. I just remembered. I was sitting here like, wait a minute.
I probably would have went through that whole Broncos-Jets game, not even realizing that it kicked off 25 minutes ago. But I'll say, let me just say this off the top of the dome. Colts are favored by about 10. Ooh. What happened?
I know. There you go. Weird. It's the Jets Broncos right now. So, and Jets, Colts Broncos, and Cardinals.
Yeah, Jets Broncos, that game, it's very positive game script for both teams, or at least expected to be. The Broncos were 7.5 point favorites, although I do think the Jets can keep up. I think Justin Fields can run that offense to keep up. Colts, Cardinals, that's supposed to be a blowout. Like Daniel Jones might not even throw the ball 30 times, and that's kind of the key here is like people don't Michael Pittman's been awesome, but he's been buttering his bread on touchdowns. And to be fair, the Colts are expected to score like 27, 28 points. So he could easily find the end zone, but targets, he's getting less than 7 targets per game. So he's going to be pretty boom or bust as long as those numbers continue. So sorry for the delay there, Samuel. Definitely get Worthy in your lineup and then just roll with whoever the other one is.
Correct. Sorry. I totally didn't catch that.
Yeah. He said Sutton is
game 8:30 games.
He said Sutton. Okay. He just commented Sutton in. I'll take Pittman out. By the way, I probably would have went with Sutton over Pittman. So hopefully that works. Hopefully that works out well. So,
all right. So the first part is Sutton or Waddle, but the second part of this question here, start 2 from Ray Gamer.
So yeah, Sutton. I probably would have went Waddle here. So hopefully that's where you went. But we'll just move on to the next one. Marvin Harrison Jr., Jacoby Myers, Calvin Ridley, or Charbonnet. So I'm going to tell you right now, Ridley we talked about. Start 2 in PPR. Okay. We talked about Ridley. We talked about Charbonnet. I would choose Ridley over Charbonnet so far, especially in PPR. So Charbonnet we can eliminate entirely. And then we just have to decide between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jacoby Myers. Marvin Harrison Jr. we already talked about. Ultimately, I feel good about Marvin Harrison Jr. There should be plenty of volume. Jacoby Brissett will throw it 30, 35, maybe even 40 times per game. Really nice matchup for Marvin Harrison. I feel pretty good about that one. Tanner, correct me if I'm wrong. After we wrap this show up, it will be available on YouTube. Like Ray can go back and watch the Marvin Harrison. Okay. So we don't need to spend much time on Marvin Harrison. Let's talk about Jakobi Meyers quick. All right. Mr. Myers, we talked already about this game. We talked about Titans Raiders. Uglier game for fantasy football. Typically not one that you need to like be targeting in your fantasy football lineup. Jakobi Meyers, it's been a little bit of a disappointment. He started the season hot and then it's just kind of tailed off with whatever's happening to Geno Smith. That hasn't been particularly pretty. But Myers is averaging 10.8 PPR points, 7.8 targets per game. He got you 17 in week 1 and then 12 in week 2, but he's followed that up with 3 straight games under 10 PPR points. But still, this guy, like, it's not a lack of targets. He is seeing 24.4% of the targets, and that keeps him on the wide receiver 3 radar. He's a good bet to bounce back sooner rather than later. And his matchup here is a pretty nice one, right? The Titans are holding wide receivers to the 13th fewest touchdowns, but other than that, they're giving up the 12th most catches, 6th most yards, 7th most PPR points, 12th most PPR points per catch. And wide receivers that played 75% or more of the snaps against the Titans are averaging 18 PPR points and 8.5 targets per game. Nico Collins was fine, not spectacular. Michael Pittman was great. Davante Adams was great. Cortland Sutton was great. Jakobi Meyers is a good bet to bounce back sooner than later. So if I have to choose 2 here between Calvin Ridley, Zach Charbonnet, here we go. Start 2 in PPR. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the one that's like, I'm locking him in for sure. And then I would be going with Jakobi Meyers because he's going to have a very similar floor to Ridley, but there's going to be a little bit more touchdown upside there just based on the fact that the Raiders are expected to score more points than the Titans are. The fact that it's PPR is good. Jakobi Meyers is getting 7 to 8 targets per game. Somewhere along the way, he's going to have he's been in a slump, but he's going to break out of that just based on the target share that he's getting. So I'm going Waddle in the first one. And then I'm going Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jakobi Meyers. So hopefully that helps, Ray. By the way, if you guys are a couple real quick housekeeping, if you're liking the content, it costs you absolutely nothing to tap that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Last I heard, Tanner, we're at or past 900 subscribers, but that 900 is not where we're going. 1,000 is the first milestone that we're chasing. Yep. So if you're liking the content, it costs you nothing to tap that subscribe button. Thank you for supporting what we're doing here. And number 2, if you're liking what you're seeing with the week winner, I did it right this time. Scan that QR code and enter promo code YouTube at checkout, and you're going to get 50% off your membership every single month for as long as you decide to keep your membership, which, by the way, membership is going to get you a lot of things, which we're going to show you in just a second, but ultimately it's going to get you the week winner, which you've been looking at all day. It's going to get you access to our Discord server, which, by the way, I can't say enough about our Discord server. We got 120 plus dedicated fantasy football people in there. Everybody's friendly. Nobody's a bad person. Nobody's a jerk. No, there's no negativity in there. It's not even allowed. But tons of fantasy football people in there bonding over the game, helping each other dominate. So you're going to get the week winner. You're going to get the Discord server. You're going to get the waiver wire winner. You're going to get my hit rate cheat sheet, which helps with prop bets. You're going to get monthly jersey giveaways. Tanner, why don't we just go ahead and show them what they're going to get out of it?
Here's your preview.
What's up, my fellow fantasy football nerds? If you're looking to dominate your league from start to finish and win cool prizes along the way, it's time to join the Basement Brewed Fantasy Football family. As a member, you're going to get our brand new 2025 Draft Dominator, which is your ultimate guide with tiers, rankings, and season previews for over 280 players to make sure you walk out of your draft with the best team in the league, and that's only the beginning. You're also going to get our 2025 Week Winner, which gives you contextual matchup analysis for every single player in every single game, every single week, so that you can conquer those difficult start-sit dilemmas and dominate your weekly matchups. And let's not forget our amazing Discord community, which is a family of passionate fantasy football players sharing strategy, workshopping dilemmas, and helping each other dominate 24/7, 365. Plus, if that wasn't enough, every single month you're automatically entered into our autographed jersey giveaway. It truly is a no-brainer if you want to take your fantasy game to the next level, have the most fun you've ever had playing this game, and support a small but mighty business along the way. Sign up today for just $69 for an entire year. Seriously. That's 365 days of total domination, community, and giveaways for less than your last bar tab. Join the BBFF family right now using the link that we left for you in the description of this episode. I'll see you inside. Yeah, baby. And by the way, while that video says $69 for the entire year, that's still available. You can do it that way. Or a lot of people tend to prefer the monthly membership, which is usually $19.99 per month. But with promo code YouTube, you drop that down to $9.99 or $10 a month, which, let's be honest, that's less than a Big Mac, a large fry, and a Coke from McDonald's. And you get, you get so much. Anyway,
you get a lot.
Yeah.
I'm big on the hit rate sheet that you created. I had a really great week last week thanks to that hit rate and the week winner combination. So we'll continue to capitalize, man. Capitalize. Utilize the resources.
Yeah, so Tanner's talking about. Sorry, man.
Oh, you're freezing.
Can you hear me? All good.
I hear you.
Whoopsies. All right, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. I think. Yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah.
All right. I was trying to pull up the hit rate cheat sheet that you were talking about, but my computer did not like that I even thought about trying up a second tab, so I shut that down pretty quickly. What Tanner's talking about with the hit rate cheat sheet, by the way, is I look at prop bets, and I put together a hit rate cheat sheet of, now it looks like it's working, a hit rate cheat sheet of how frequently players are hitting the props that they are lined up for on drafters.com, which we'll get into that. Oh, there you go. You pulled it up. Beautiful.
Yeah, I got it up.
Heck yeah. Your computer's much better than mine. So yeah, if you'll look, you can see it right here. It basically just tells you, hey, on drafters.com, X player is projected or has an over under of, let's just say, Brandon Cooks right there, over 16.5 receiving yards. It's going to tell you he's hitting that 80% of the time. He has 22 to 26 receiving yards in 4 of 5 games. Just 5 last week, though, and a snap share took a dip. So it gives you some notes to be aware of as well. So that's available in the membership. Just released that recently. But anyways, we got less than 9 minutes to go. So let's try our best to do a little bit of rapid fire here.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, by the way, I saw BD commented 69 nice for the membership. By the way, that's not an accident. Like, I'm that childish and immature that when I was like, how much should this cost? I was like, 69 seems like a good number. So anyway.
Yeah. No, I knew that was on purpose. So
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Carlos Bob here says Ridley or Higgins in PPR.
Yeah, I love this question because we already talked about both these guys. Honestly, dude, I'm going with Higgins here. There's no way to feel good about this, and I could easily be wrong about this. Especially like Ridley's coming off his best game, but I'm a Joe Flacco believer, at least in terms of fantasy football. I'm expecting him to do better with the Bengals than he did with the Browns. I probably am, like, I'll be honest, I'm probably too bullish on Joe Flacco in his first game. Like, he literally just showed up in Cincinnati like 4 days ago. But man, if there's one quarterback not named Jameis Winston that is willing to just chuck it at Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, it's Joe Flacco. And if the Bengals are 14.5-point underdogs here, if Flacco is going to put the ball in the air 40 times Jamar Chase is going to have double-digit targets. T. Higgins could have double-digit targets. Like, I'm going to roll the dice on T. Higgins here. Like, it's kind of the sort of thing where we know what we have in Calvin Ridley, and it's not necessarily pretty. T. Higgins, like, I'm going to stop short of saying T. Higgins is back because Joe Flacco is not Joe Burrow, but I feel better about Higgins and Jamar Chase than I have for the last couple weeks.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Carlos, Bob. Broly returning. Hey, appreciate you on Twitch here. He has a weird chat issue, but looks like he got it through. Does he trust Jamar Chase or does he roll out Debo to go with Egbuka? By the way, Egbuka, no Evans, no Godwin.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a day.
This one is hard for me to shut off my Jamar Chase bias because I'm a big Jamar Chase guy, and now with Joe Flacco, they're gonna exactly what we were just talking about with T. Higgins. I would have a really tough time having my first overall pick on the bench. But shoot, dude, Deebo Samuel's in the shootout with Chicago. There's no Terry McLaurin. Really nice matchup with the Bears. Emeka Egbuka is in a shootout with the Niners. No Mike Evans. No Chris Godwin. Like, dang,
no
man.
Bucky.
Yeah, like this is a great problem. The fact that you're going to have two of Deebo, Egbuka, or Jamar Chase on the bench is insane. With Egbuka.
Yeah,
so
with
Egbuka,
it. Yeah.
So now you got to choose between Jamar Chase and Deebo. Okay. Look, ultimately, here's what it is. Deebo Samuel is going to be the quote unquote safer play because he's going to get a very similar amount of targets, but he's also in a great matchup. Like the Bears are just getting destroyed. I'm not going to dive into the heat map or the week winner because we don't have too much time left. Broly, if you want access to this, again, you can scan the QR code and dive into the numbers, but the Bears are getting annihilated by wide receivers. Deebo Samuel has no target competition. I know he was questionable coming into the game, so keep an eye on like injury reports going in. There's always the risk of him getting knocked out of a game, but he's going to offer you a very similar floor. And the ceiling is pretty nice there as well. So as much as I would hate to have Jamar Chase on the bench, and ultimately you have to ask yourself if you can stomach the idea of Jamar Chase being on your bench and then he has one of his signature 40-point games. Like, let's not forget Jamar Chase's ceiling is over 40 points. Okay. Like if you can stomach putting that on your bench, then I have no problem going with Deebo here. But you have to understand 40 is possible with Jamar Chase. You have to understand that. So anyway,
man, that's a big number. We also got Twitch here. Hunter out here says Kincaid or McBride.
McBride here. Cardinals they're nearly 10-point underdogs. They're going to be throwing the ball. We talked about this earlier with Marvin Harrison Jr., but if Jacoby Brissett has to throw the ball 30 plus times per game, Trey McBride is going to be a big part of that. And typically speaking, we're not really banking on touchdowns with Trey McBride anyway. We're looking for catches and yards, and he should have plenty of opportunities for that in this game where they're expected to get smashed by the Colts. So I'm going Trey McBride here.
There you go. Victor out here. Hi, Mikey. Rico Daddle, Quinshawn.
Hey.
Or Quinshawn. 0.5 PPR.
Victor, what's up, man? Good to see you, brother. It's been a while. I'm going Rico Dowdle here. I love Quinshawn. I'm always nervous to start him, though, because they're always underdogs. Pittsburgh's not a great matchup for Quinshawn Judkins, although Judkins is starting to look like one of those guys where matchups don't matter. He just runs through guys regardless. But, man, you got Rico Dowdle in a possible shootout against his former team. The Cowboys are bad against running backs. There's just a lot about Rico Dowdle. He's going to bring you a very similar floor to Quinshawn Judkins just based on the volume of touches he's going to get. But man, is he going, like, the ceiling is through the roof here. I'm going Rico.
There you go. Also, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, especially with it being half PPR, we need to look a little bit more for touchdowns, and the Panthers are expected to score more than the Browns are. So
there you go. Still on Twitch here. A lot of Twitch comments today. It's awesome. Yeah. About sure if should I start Drake London or Xavier Worthy?
It's Xavier Worthy week, man. We're going, like, it's hard to look. Listen, great problem to have. Like, anytime you have Drake London on your bench, you probably have a pretty good team. But dude, I'd have a really tough time benching. There's not many wide receivers I would bench over Xavier or under Xavier. I don't know how I'm saying what I'm trying to say. There's not many wide receivers that I would want more than Xavier Worthy this week. Boom, there.
Agreed. There you go. Jack Connolly out here, pick 2, start Kyron, Javonte, or Dowdle.
Oh, bro, that's impossible.
I mean, Kyron's going against the Ravens defense, so.
Oh yeah. So I think let me slide over to the okay. So the week winner, I have Kyron Williams in column A with a blue dot. Yes. If you don't use the week winner, you have no clue what that means. I totally understand. But basically, if you're in this column here, that means all of the data suggests you're teed up for a massive week, just like Saquon Barkley had this week. Just kidding. Terrible joke. Obviously, that didn't pan out. But, dude, everything aligns for Kyron Williams to smash this week, right? I mean, Rams are expected to score a ton of points. They're heavy favorites. There should be a ton of volume. Kyron Williams should get 20 plus touches. And oh yeah, by the way, the Ravens are hemorrhaging the 5th most rushing yards, 4th most catches, 10th most receiving yards, 2nd most touchdowns, and oh yeah, the most PPR points per game to running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs went crazy. James Cook went crazy. Those are the only 2 guys who handled 15 plus touches against the Ravens. Then Nick Chubb had a solid day. David Montgomery went crazy. Jerome Ford had a solid day. Quinshad Jun, Kyron Williams has to be in your lineup. He just has to. Then you got Javonte or Rico Dowdle. I love this one as well. I like both of these guys. I have them both here in column B with a green dot, but ultimately I have to go with Javonte Williams here. He's I do really like Rico Dowdle, but the Cowboys are expected to win this game. As much as Rico Dowdle's a locked-in RB1, Javonte Williams is also a locked-in RB1. I'm going to go with Javonte Williams on that one. So, yeah. And that helps. By the way, I would say Javonte Williams versus Rico Dowdle is closer to a coin flip, just based on Rico Dowdle does have a better matchup. Cowboys are expected to score more points. So I'm fine with you flipping a coin and kind of going from there. But if it were me, I'd be going with Kyron and Javonte.
All right. And final one, Greg Quirk. Will the Brewers hang with the Dodgers? We're 6-0.
Brewers in 4, baby. Brewers in 4.
You need to know, Greg.
Absolutely. Hey, one more, Tanner. I did see a comment. I don't know where it went, but I saw somebody ask a question about sleeper wide receivers to pick up. It was around 9. Elio. Yes, I got you, my friend. So part of what I do with my BBFF memberships is when I find things, like when I'm creating this week winner, guys, it takes me 30 plus hours every single week. So I spend 30 plus hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday researching every single quarterback, every single running back, every single wide receiver, every single tight end, and writing it, putting it all in this spreadsheet. We're literally talking about 200 plus players on every single team. And when I find things that are particularly interesting, I do send out an email alert, as well as a Discord alert to my members. And this week I sent one in particular that said, last week I sent out, are you desperate for a wide receiver? Pick up Kendrick Bourne. That one paid off handsomely. This one I feel a little less confident about. Like the Kendrick Bourne one felt like such a no-brainer. This one's a little bit less confident, but it is a good sleeper for you. See if Sterling Shepard is available in on the waiver wire. Possible shootout with the 49ers. Plenty of volume to come. Sterling Shepard's no stranger to having high volume games. Like people forget he was actually a pretty solid fantasy football option in New York for a while. Elio, again, I do not have the time to dig into all of the details for Sterling Shepard, but if you want access, you can scan this QR code here, enter promo code YouTube, and you're going to get half off, which is $9.99 or $10 a month every single month. So anyways, there we go. Hopefully that helps. Sterling Shepard is who you're looking for.
All right. Well, that wraps it up, Mikey. It's a hard stop here. We're 2 minutes over a hard stop.
Yeah, man. I got to get to the boys' soccer game. I promised to never be the guy that misses that stuff for work, which is what this is, believe it or not. So I do have to get to that game. Sorry that we do have to cut it short today, everybody. But again, if you want access to all of this stuff, scan that QR code, Enter promo code YouTube. You're going to get 50% off your membership for as long as you remain. You could be, if you're subscribed for 10 years, you're going to be getting half off for 10 years, which is awesome. You're going to get the week winner, the hit rate cheat sheet, the Discord access, the jersey giveaways, all of the stuff. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Tanner and I will be back for episode 69.
69.
Very nice. We're going to be back for episode 69 next Sunday, 8 a.m. Central, right here on the YouTube, Basement Brewed Fantasy Football YouTube channel. According to Tanner, we're also streaming on Facebook and Twitch and Twitter, all of the things that I don't know because Tanner is a freaking magician and he gets this all set up. So yeah, come back 8 a.m. Central. And one last time, I will say, please tap that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. We're on a mission to get to 1,000, hopefully before the
button,
season.
Whatever it is, tap it. Tap it, whatever platform you're on.
Tap it, baby. Tap it. So we'll see you guys back here for episode 69. Good luck on the fantasy football field today. Cheers. This brew's for you.